Welcome back, man. What up, though, people? I hope your day has started off well. What see them do is be able to bottle that game last night and be able to use that as they kind of come down this final stretch of the season to try and stave off realistically setting that franchise low in wins. It was 16. It was at the beginning of the rebuild of the Detroit Bad Boys when they kind of fired Dick Vitale. They brought in trader Jack McCloskey.
Jack?
Yes. Yeah. And then they also brought in legendary coach Chuck Daly, R.I.P. And that's the number 2 that Cade Cunningham actually wears. It's to honor that family as well. I know that they did a kind of a production out of it. He got to meet Cindy Daly. Yeah, he got Cade Cunningham met Cindy Daly. He thanked them for letting him wear the jersey, and he said he really wants to be able to honor it. And obviously the 2 for Chuck Daly that's retired right now is for the 2 championships that he coached the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boys teams, too as well. But the Detroit Pistons, man, I want to see them be able to bottle this up because I thought it was the prototype game. They played through their top draft picks. Coming into the season, we wanted to see the Detroit Pistons play through Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. And I know that the number 1 thing that you have to get right if you're talking about assessing this squad at all is if those 2 can work. We've covered on this show ample times that we believe Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey can and will work. I've gotten people on one end of the fence that are saying, you're tripping, you're crazy. We talked to Rod Beard this week who said, you want to see Jaden Ivey kind of get that 3-point percentage up so it can definitely work. And last night was a prototype game.
It was up last night.
Yeah. Fast forward.
No, I had zero intention of that being a pausable moment, but I guess that's where the unpausable nickname comes from. Yeah. But they shot the 3 well, both Jaden and Cade.
Yeah, they did. The whole team, they shot 40%, but Jaden Ivey shot 6 of 9 from behind the arc. Cade Cunningham 4 of 8 from behind the arc. Even Asar Thompson, man, he started the game off 2 of 4 from behind the arc, but it ended the game 2 of 7. But he just played tough. You want to talk about defense? He played I think the most minutes on the entire team, 43 minutes, and it was because he was defending Mikal Bridges, who was one of those just, as Monty Williams called him, one of those premier players in the league. And Asar Thompson did really, really well. Last night, it was one of those games where you kind of saw this thing ripen to form. You see the numbers up there. Cade Cunningham, he finished with a double-double, 32 points, 11 assists, and he got 9 free throw attempts. He made 8 of them. Jaden Ivey with a big 34 points last night. Asar Thompson 14, 7, and 3. And Jalen Duren, man, 12 points, 14 rebounds, going up against free agent to be Nick Claxton of the Brooklyn Nets.
We were talking about him yesterday.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm going to say some controversial things because obviously we want to be able to see kind of a stretch 4 next to Jalen Duren. But, man, they need some rim protection. And last night, Nick Claxton was doing the thing. So he really was.
This is a question or a segment or topic for another day. The one thing I'm still waiting on for Jalen Duren is to be that elite rim protector. You see the double-doubles all day long. Maybe the next step in his career and his progress is being a rim protector. He's got the athleticism and the basketball IQ for it.
Defense,
I'm surprised it's not there yet. What was that, KG?
No, I said his defense is a little spotty.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you know what, man? As a young player, still kind of learning, still growing. I hope it's going to be there generally, and typically these things are more instinctual.
Yeah.
And you kind of see he knows where to be, but in terms of kind of that instinct to the double jumps, the quick hops.
Maybe after he turns 21. Maybe when he grows, he gets a little bit older.
Yeah. And you know what? That's been mine as well. I'm going to be writing an article soon about what I want to see, kind of the improvement. When they go into this offseason and every year you want to come back having added something to your game, more so than an offensive post game, I want to be able to see Jalen Duren take that next step as it relates to his physicality, his tenacity, and his instincts in the paint, being that rim protector. Because last night when the game in the second quarter started to get a little bit like, whoa, they started off 26-16 after the first quarter with a 10-point lead. Then all of a sudden you see Schroeder through quarters 2 and 3 just continue to gas.
Yeah, that can't happen.
Right into the paint. Like, there was no worry. And we've seen this all year from guys like Desmond Bane and other guards as well. We've seen the Wizards do it with Jordan Poole. And I know Kyle Kuzma is not necessarily a guard, but he's still able to just kind of get into the paint. And we've seen this all season long. And you want to see some people be able to step up and really be a force as it relates to it, and be a deterrent as it relates to, you know what, these players at least have to think, when I step inside this paint, that someone like a Jalen Duren is going to be there. Somebody that got some praise last night from Monty Williams was James Wiseman. He actually, as it related to trying to muck things up in the paint, he actually had a couple nice plays there. I think he was only credited with 1 block on the night, but he did deter a couple blocks. I want to see him rebound a little bit better. Monty Williams is going to continue to give him opportunities because he says he's one of those practice work ethic heroes. He's one of those guys that, like, nobody's going to outwork him in practice, and he wants to be able to see this guy that was once a number 2 overall pick, what he's going to do. But overall, this game boils down to the backcourt of Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, and their future of this franchise boils down to that, as well as what Jalen Duren and Asar Thompson do as they step forward. And then obviously Troy Weaver has to make sure to get the right pieces around them.
I love it, Clay. What was it like down at LCA yesterday? Because to me, it's such an interesting game. Playing the Nets, a team who at one point we were sort of on or at a similar spot near the bottom of the NBA. The Nets have taken off. We've actually helped them get there with the good old Joe Harris contract. But nonetheless, this is a pretty good win. Win number 10 down at LCA. Was the crowd large? Were the people who were there, were they like, what was it like there down in Detroit?
The crowd started off sparse. It was probably maybe 35% full.
Okay.
But the crowd was loud. They were active. And I understand it's going to be tough, especially kind of on a random Thursday night, to get fans out to that arena. But largely, it was still a lot more people than we even expected when it started. We were like, whoa, this is kind of like the most empty game. I know, JB, we were talking about it as well.
Yeah.
That this was kind of the most empty we saw the arena. But as the game went on, as it kind of got towards the close, we looked around again and we said, you know what? I guess people were just out on the world-famous LCA concourse.
Yeah.
Because the arena started to fill in a little bit, maybe at about 40% capacity, and it was loud. You want to talk about people who, they throw the records out the window, they throw the long loser streak out the window, and they're just invested in wanting to see their team win. That is an epic feeling. And then I got some video. I wish I would have sent it into JB because it got loud. The fans chanting defense when they're on defense. The fans cheering everything. It was an absolute dunk fest. This is something that I actually wanted to talk about. You want to talk about their aggressiveness getting to the rack. Yes, I know that they hit a lot of threes last night, but it was an absolute dunk fest. They were attacking the rim, trying to dunk everything. Cade Cunningham was absolutely forcing the issue. I do believe that he deserves more free throws. But to the crowd out there that says that they want to see Cade Cunningham attack with the intent of drawing those fouls and forcing the refs to call the foul, last night, that's why I say, hey, frame this stat sheet. This was the kind of prototypical game that you want to see. Jaden Ivey hitting threes. Jaden Ivey scored on all 3 levels. Cade Cunningham forcing the issue and getting to the line. It was like he didn't have to complain. It was like he went and knew. All right, whistle blew. I'm walking straight to the line after this attempt. Like he kind of knew. And Jaden Ivey, something that was cool to see return in his game last night was the mid-range. Last year, as the year went on, his rookie season, towards the close of that year, mid-range Jaden Ivey actually became a thing. Yeah. So it was really cool to kind of see him last night in all 3 phases of the game score. And we heard him talk about, they're starting to get this 0.5-second offense. I probably should have sent that in too. In the press conference last night, he talked about the fact that last night their focus was really on getting into that 0.5-second offense. We talked about it before, making your decision to pass, shoot, or dribble, so that you kind of discombobulate the opponent's defense, and that they're now chasing you. And we saw a lot of cutting lanes. We saw them getting out in transition. We saw them finishing at the rack in half court. I don't think I've seen a game this year where they've had more half court dunks.
I like that.
But they had them.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome thing to see last night. Obviously, it's a 10-win team, but we're talking about a completely kind of a different team after the trade deadline. Their defensive rating, like I said, jumped from last to middle of the NBA now. And they look like a different team. They just need a couple more parts and pieces, man, and some toughness.
But you see, and I asked you about the crowd. I knew it was probably a little lower than normal, but that's what you want to see out of a young team. When it's maybe not the most electric atmosphere, they still have the energy. It had 9 wins on the season. Okay, we get to see Cade out there for 38 minutes, Jaden Ivey for 39, them both scoring over 30 and walking away with a W. Those are the things. I want to see them be able to play together. They obviously can. Of course, there are many parts they got to still put together, but seeing these little wins, these little intra-game wins leading to a W, leading to an actual team win, that's huge for me.
Yeah, and they won the game playing the way that we wanted them to play. They had good defense. They kind of really played a solid 40 out of 48 minutes. You want to talk about a complete game? That was something that they were all excited about. And they were led by who? Their draft picks. And just one more thing. Shout out to Simone Fontecchio. I know that the stats don't jump off at the stat sheet. 4.6 rebounds. He caught a pretty nasty elbow to the face last night. Got the black eye. And he was just like, we were wondering, is he going to come out the game or not? He stayed in. And his defense was on point. It seemed like he just kind of had this different edge to him after that as well. So shout out to him as well. It's always awesome to see people going out there and they were playing for this win. They're not just packing it up. They're not just mailing it in. They're not like, well, we're out of the playoff race, so we don't have nothing to play for. They're out there and they want to win, and that's something that Jaden Ivey said in his press conference.
I love it, love it. Before we get to Would You Rather and Kool-Aid, I appreciate all that perspective, all that inside scoop on the Detroit Pistons. But we got a caller.